Vikings Vent Line, one show where you get to react to how the Purple played right away. Call in now with your thoughts on the game. 651-646-8255. This is Vikings Vent Line.
Trubisky backing up under pressure, avoids the sack. He can run, and he proves it right here by picking up the first down. Ninth play of this drive, and the ball is out. Cook launched it. Bears think they have it. Waiting for the signal. They do. You can see the officials say Chicago ball. Under pressure again. Can he get away? No, he can't. Of course it's Mac.
And vent you will. Vikings lose 25-20 to the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field tonight as the Vikings problems in Soldier Field continue. And Manny Hill, who joins me for this show, give me your thoughts quickly because phone lines are filling up. 651-646-8255, 877-615-1500 about a game that the Bears did their damnedest to try and put the Vikings back in it on several occasions in the second half. And yet the Vikings could not prosper from that and fall to, hold on for it for a second, 5-4-1 now. The Bears are in first place at 7-3.
And I'll tell you what, if the Vikings are going to win this division, they are in for an uphill battle because the Bears already have one up on you. They're ahead of you by essentially 2 games. They're essentially 2 games ahead of you now, even though in the standings, I guess it's more like a game and a half because of the tie or whatever.
Yeah.
But you've got Green Bay coming in here next week, and then you got a trip to Foxborough and a trip to Seattle. This was a tough one to swallow if you're a Vikings fan, and if you're the Vikings trying to get yourself in position to win this division, because it's going to be tough. This was one that they needed to get tonight, and Judd, this quarterback. Listen, we've been up and down on Kirk Cousins all year. We've talked about the great throws that he's made, but we've also talked about some of the bad decisions that he's made, and he made 2 really bad interceptions today that really, really hurt this team and made it so much harder for them to even stay in it.
651-646-8255 locally, outside the metro, 877-615-1500, full phone line, so let's get to them right now. Eric and Bismarck, you're first up on what should be a very exciting edition of Viking Vent Line.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much. I think the most frustrating thing about tonight's loss is listening to the announcers, first of all, talk about the Bears. The Vikings have just as much talent, if not more. And just to watch them self-destruct these last few months is just kind of painful to see. And the offensive line, I mean, I know we go over this over and over, but it manifests itself in more than just pass protection. Like, we couldn't run for more than 1 yard at a shot. I mean, it boggles me that we can go into an offseason and say, offensive line is a weakness. We come into the regular season and say, offensive line is still a weakness. When is this going to change?
Thank you, Eric. It's going to change when the Vikings start to consistently address, Manny, the offensive line early in the draft, which they just don't do consistently. What makes no sense about this is the Vikings are stuck here. Because if you want to argue, okay, Cousins is sort of at fault for tonight, but he didn't get proper protection. Well, we said, why don't you get – you knew when you signed him to the 3-year, $84 million contract who you were getting, exactly what type of quarterback you were getting. He has to be protected sufficiently. So if you want to be upset at Cousins, that's fine. But the flip side is you're going to end up being upset at the Vikings no matter what, because they did not do – you don't make this type of investment in this type of quarterback and then not protect him adequately, which the Vikings have not done. I mean, Riley Reef against Khalil Mack was lost. I don't get the game plan tonight. I don't get a lot of things, but the offensive line for this quarterback, the entire package of what you thought you were doing is unacceptable. You had to get Kirk Cousins more protection, and you didn't do it.
There's that old saying of know your personnel, right?
Yeah.
You go into an off season, and I mean, we've been over this a million times, Judd. You go into an off season, and your right guard, your 35-year-old right guard, Joe Berger, retires. It was very good for you last year, but he retires. So you've got a gaping hole on your offensive line and your interior linemen. You don't address that. You have multiple opportunities in the draft to address it. you don't have to go out in free agency and spend a bunch of money. You've already done that with the quarterback and with Reef and Remmers and all these guys. You've for the most part done a pretty good job in free agency. But you've got draft picks. You've got to invest in your offensive line, especially if you've got a quarterback like Kirk Cousins who is not a mobile guy. I mean, we saw it tonight more when he was under pressure. He can't get away from when Akeem Hicks and Khalil Mack are in his face. He can't get away from that stuff. He just doesn't physically. He just doesn't have the ability to do that. And that just shows that Rick Spielman, again, did not do a good job of addressing what really needed to be addressed with this team. And now we have the situation that we have right now, and you've got this quarterback turning the ball over still.
Mike in Burnsville, go ahead and vent about the Vikings 25-20 loss in Chicago.
Well, I'm not going to vent because anybody that thought they were going to win that game from the beginning is just we don't even beat the Bears when they're horrible and we're good anytime there. And the other thing, we just need to start watching the records of the wild card teams because they're not going to catch the Bears now. The Bears should probably beat Detroit on Thanksgiving, and the Vikings really need to concentrate on the Packers. And if Chicago thinks Trubisky is going to be their quarterback of the future, that's fine with me, because one of these, as the years go on, he's not going to be able to run like he does now, and man, he cannot throw. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
I'll tell you what, though, number 52 on the other side of the ball, he ain't going anywhere for a while.
Well, and
no matter how bad Trubisky is, and Trubisky is, I got my reservations about him. 52 still on the other side of the ball, and they're gonna have to face him twice a year, and that's not gonna be fun.
And Vikings fans should all address hate mail tonight to Oakland, because Chicago should be a nice team. This should be an ascending nice team.
Mm-hmm.
This defense went from being very solid and good or very good, Manny, to being outstanding. Because Oakland, right before, in a trade that essentially does not happen in this league, gifted them a Pro Bowl player who a guy like Cousins doesn't know what to do with. And I felt bad. There was an assumption made by this coaching staff in their game planning for this game that Riley Reef could actually handle Khalil Mack one-on-one. And I don't know how that assumption was made. The Vikings told us all week about how difficult Chicago was going to be in certain areas. And then they went about, seemingly, at least for the first half of this game, not having accounted for those things. I don't understand this game plan, because there were everything they talked about. Trubisky is Tarkington, elusive. Khalil Mack is this and that. And then it was sort of like you thought to yourself, but they're not going to hurt us. They were destined to kill you. And they did. So it makes no sense.
Yep.
Let's go next to Colton in Kansas City. Hello, Colton.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Hey, so I had a couple of things that I was kind of thinking about, and I kind of wanted to get your guys' input on them. What do you guys think about Dalvin Cook and his role in the game tonight? And then also, do you think it was part because the offensive line was just playing bad? Or do you think, because even in this game too, it seemed like the whole offensive line was just having problems. In other games, like the Saints game, Pat Elflein, he looked like he was good in majority of those games, or parts of the offensive line were having good games, but the whole offensive line as a whole wasn't really having a great game. So I was just wanting your input on if that affected Cook getting plays during the game, or if you thought that, that was some of the reasons why Cousins was having an off game tonight as well.
Thanks for the call.
Well, Dalvin Cook had 9 carries for 12 yards tonight. 1.3 a pop.
And he fumbled.
Caused by Khalil Mack, by the way.
Yes, it did. Yes.
And as a team, the Vikings ran the ball 14 times for 22 yards. Kirk Cousins had a 5-yard scramble that we saw late. And I mean, they can talk about wanting to run the ball all they want. And we've heard about that for weeks now. Zimmer said, we got to run the football. And look, I agree. They do got to run the football. But this 1.6 yards a carry tonight, You're not going anywhere with that.
Yeah.
And you're not going anywhere with that.
And then you quit doing it.
Yeah.
And now you're
putting it all on the quarterback.
Yes.
You're putting it all on the quarterback now, who we've been talking about the mistakes and all of that.
By the way, let's point this out too. Kirk Cousins finishes 30 of 46, 262 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Besides the picks, don't buy a bit of that statistical line. This is once again a padded stats line, and I believe he did not get to 100 yards passing until the end of the third quarter.
Those 2 picks he threw tonight, Judd, were awful. They were awful.
The pick six,
and they took points off. They basically cost them points.
Yeah,
because you took points off the board at the end of the first half. The one he threw at the end of the first half, and then he threw a pick six.
The pick six was the exact type of play that we've talked about 1,000 times that he cannot make. Hello, Chad in Colorado.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for taking my call. I wanted to just quickly say thank you. I listen to you guys in the Purple Podcast. The only way I can get my Vikings fix in Colorado. So I wanted to thank you guys for that.
Awesome.
You got it.
Yeah, you bet. While laughing at the ridiculousness of Vikings NATO 2016 Part 2 tonight, all I can think of was 3 sarcastic memes that seem to sum up this game. So here goes.
All right.
Hicks drives a Mac across the Minnesota State elf line. This offensive line was just offensive. The Vikings marry 3 years of kissing cousins, both with the first name of stupid. Diggs, sometimes stop the dancing and just make the play. After pick 6 caused by this player, the Vikings absolutely must dance to this tune. Na 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 na, na 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 na, hey hey hey, goodbye Treadwell. You totally ran a terrible route that caused that pick 6. You're done, buddy. You're done in my mind. Thanks, gentlemen.
Call of the night so far.
Yeah.
Call of the night.
Played.
But let's see if it can be topped by a good friend of ours who always has great opinions. Hello, Randy in Oakland.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Let's just first start off by saying that Kirk Cousins was trash tonight. He was the second coming of Christian Ponder. I don't know where the hell he was throwing at for most of the game. But you're right, Judd. Most of those stats that he put together tonight were garbage stats. They don't matter, in my humble opinion. Also, the offensive line. I don't want to hear a damn thing from Rick Spielman, Mike Zimmer, anybody throughout that entire organization about the offensive line, because Joe Berger retired. This wasn't news, Rick Spielman. We knew he was gone. And what did you decide to do? You signed Kirk Cousins to $84 million, freaking guaranteed. And you know what? You know he's not a mobile quarterback. He's a statue of a quarterback. He needs a clean pocket. And you don't address the fact that Joe Berger retired by at least getting an adequate starting guard. You basically draft a position in the second round. Brian O'Neill, he's been nice. Okay, fine. But right tackle wasn't of need for this team. You needed a guard, and you didn't do that. Khalil Mack basically did whatever the hell he wanted today. And then the defense. Mike Zimmer, we put this dude on some pedestal like his stuff don't stink. This dude is supposed to be a disciplinarian. And then what happened? The defense, they made plays a lot in this game. I'll give you that. But they were also erratic for a lot of this game, especially as of late. They gave up a first down on 3rd and 8, that final drive Chicago had before it led to the field goal. And then a stupid roughing the passer call on Harrison Smith when Mitch Trubisky was already going down. You're supposed to be a disciplinarian, but this team has zero control. You have zero control over this team. And then John DeFilippo. Can we stop with this dude being a head coaching candidate, calling these dumbass plays? You sit there, you call a handoff on 3rd and inches instead of calling a quarterback sneak when everybody knew that you were running the ball against one of the best run-stopping defenses in the league. And then you call a screen pass down 2 scores, just over 2.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter with 1 timeout left. Who is this dude? Who do they think they are? They are frauds. They have yet to beat a team over 500. They're supposed to be Super Bowl contenders. They are absolute frauds. I don't want to hear a damn thing from this team. We just got to work on this. They're frauds.
Nothing more needs to be said before we go to Ben in Florida. Hello, Ben.
Well, excuse me.
Come on, Ben.
Hey, guys.
Ben, you got to follow that one up, man. You got to bring it, man.
I hope you're angry,
bro.
Ben.
You got to bring it, Ben.
Well, I'm not gonna bring. I'll bring it. I'll bring it just like this. I am convinced 100% that the Vikings will not win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins. Changed my mind on that. This was a game he had to win. He didn't do it. He didn't get the job done. I'm not gonna rip the defense like the last caller did because They, like I said before, they gave Kirk Cousins plenty of opportunity to win this game, and he didn't do it. And just one other final thing. I'm looking across Twitter, and I'm seeing people saying, yeah, they should have kept Case Keenum. What's Case Keenum's record in Denver right now? I'll hang up and listen. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ben.
Well, Case Keenum got a pretty big win today in
Yeah,
Los Angeles,
he did. But I'm not. I'm fine with the Cousins
They
move.
made the right decision. Made the right decision.
If you're going to sign Kirk Cousins, Manny, you just have to make sure he's got the proper protection. And
know your personnel.
Well, and also, by the way, when you're going to face Khalil Mack, have a coherent game plan for him. Your game plan in the first half made no sense. 0 sense. Let's go to Zach. Hey, Zach, how are you?
Hey,
Zach, you're
what's going on, guys?
Not too much.
Hey,
What's your reaction to
fourth quarter Kirk Cousins all year long? It's getting kind of ridiculous. Like you touched on earlier, Judd, he's patting the stats in the fourth quarter. His defense played awesome tonight. I know a lot of people get a bag on him, but interception, punt, field goal. Start second half. We got to score. A great team scores points, not field goals or 3 and out. It's getting ridiculous. The only thing I'm going to beg on tonight was Zimmer, 3rd and 9 at the end of the game there, and he's playing zone with your man Xavier Rhodes, and of course Mitchell Trubisky makes an easy throw. That's the only thing I'm going to beg on. But the defense gave the offense opportunity after opportunity, and Kirk just doesn't get it done until fourth quarter when they're playing prevent.
Thanks, Zach.
I should note that
that was very calm.
Vikings Vent Line is brought to you by Lucky's 13 Pubs, 5 Twin Cities locations, and you can find them online at luckys13pub.com.
And you know what? If you go there, you're happy. But if you come here right now, you're not.
You're venting.
Hey, Sean in Toronto.
Hey, what's going on?
Not too much.
So I'm just gonna list a couple of receivers. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna ask you if Laquan Treadwell is better than any of them.
Okay.
Chad Beebe.
No.
Aldrick Robertson.
No.
Brandon Zylstra.
No.
I'm not even mentioning Stephon Diggs and Ramfield. And Dalvin Cook's probably a better receiver. And because you saw the interception that Kirk Cousins did. I was watching Game Day Live with Deion Sanders, and they're showing the replays, and I saw the route that he ran. The amount of effort that this man has in his routes for a first-round pick is absolutely
You're at a loss for words, Sean, and I understand it.
Yeah, it's bad, but like a first-round pick on his 3rd year, and he's basically like, if he doesn't play this good, he's done. And the fact that he has no effort, and with Kirk Cousins, yeah, he's not good in prime time, but the offensive line is just horrible. Like, I don't think there's an offensive line except the Raiders and maybe the Cardinals that's probably better. They're like maybe 29th, 30th overall. I'm going to hang up now.
All right. Thanks, Sean in Toronto. He's just done.
I mean,
tonight is not – I don't think tonight's the night to bag on Laquan Treadwell just because your issues – yeah, we all know it's not working, all right? I agree.
Yeah.
But your issues go well beyond that. I have questions about coaching tonight. I have questions about quarterback play. I have questions. I have questions about how you thought this offensive line could be taken into a season when you considered yourself a serious Super Bowl contender. And keep in mind too, other than your left guard, I believe every starter tonight was the projected starter, with the exception being O'Neal starts for Hill now. But the right tackle and Remmers, here's what I don't understand. You signed him to play right tackle. He's actually pretty good there. He was very decent there.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's playing guard for his first full season, and he's clearly not as good there. So the Treadwell factor I completely get, and we can probably discuss that until today he's either traded and or cut or just walks away. But there's a lot of things off tonight's game that go well beyond Laquan for me.
Gee, I wonder why Mike Remmers is playing right guard right now. Could it be because you had an opportunity to draft a guard in one of your first 2 draft picks and you decided not to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have a guy who's playing out of position, who's a pretty good right tackle for you, and now he's playing out of position, and he's okay at guard, but he's a tackle, and he should be playing right tackle for you.
And O'Neal
you should have somebody that you drafted playing right guard for you right now.
And Brian O'Neal should not have to start. Should not have had to start. He should not have had to start. They considered him. They admitted he was a project. Okay, then treat him like a project. But instead, your hand got forced, and we are where we are now, which is the Vikings sitting at 5-4-1.
Very quickly, before we get to the next caller, I want to go back to the pick six because I'm replaying it over and over and over again as we're talking here. There were 3 Chicago Bears in the area where Cousins threw the ball. I mean, Treadwell ran sort of a lazy, half-hearted route there, but Cousins can't make that throw. He just can't. There was no pressure. There were 3 Bears in the area where he threw it. I mean, you just can't make that throw. I'm sorry. You just can't.
And that's the throw that he makes once or twice per game.
Yeah.
And that's the exact type of throw that in a game like this, the Chicago Bears were desperate for you to rally in the second half and beat them. Desperate. Mitch Trubisky made some stupid plays. They offensively, I thought, had some questionable play calling. This is the type of game that a year from now, I think the Bears are going to be improved enough that they will not try and gift it back to you. But Manny, tonight they did. Mm-hmm. They did. And this is the type of game where, again, the Green Bay Packers are coming apart at the seams.
Yep.
The Lions won today. I don't care. They are back to being the Lions. And so the only question becomes, can you win a game with this high-priced quarterback that you signed against a team like Chicago, which is an ascending team, but probably not there yet? And the answer was you should have been able to, and they couldn't. Sean in St. Paul, what's up?
So, the entire first half tonight, our play calling was so predictive. We kept trying to get the run going but we needed to get the passing game in rhythm. Like, you could see everything we're doing once we started switching it up and started, stuck to the pass in the second half. But Kirk Cousins did not play well, but you can't place all the blame on him because of the offensive line was so bad. But he's yet to win a big game for us. He's 0-3-1 in the big games he's had this year. But it's between our play calling and I don't know.
All right, Sean, thanks. Kirk Cousins, we all thought when the Vikings went into Philadelphia and they won that game, that was sort of a decisive signature type of win, right? And we now have confirmed Philadelphia's just not good.
Nope.
So
48-7 they lost today, by the way, the Eagles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
To the Saints, who are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Who you also lost to at home.
Yep.
But then my question becomes this. What is the game? Now, Cousins has made some very good throws. I completely get that. But what is the game that we have now that you say Kirk Cousins can hang his 2018 hat on that game? I don't know that one exists right now.
Mm-mm.
I don't know that one does. I thought for a while there, I thought the Eagles game was it, but it's not really. So Green Bay, you came back and got a tie because Daniel Carlson missed 3 field goals, and today I believe he made 3, including the winning kick for Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Chancey.
Hey, guys. Thank you very much. Hey, I saw that Mike Zimmer was wearing some, it looked like some heavy-duty industrial safety glass on the sideline, and I'm glad he was because my eyes were burning as I watched this game on my TV screen at home. It was pretty painful to see. I will say that I am sick and tired of the narrative of we need to establish the run. Establish what? 2nd and 9? 3rd and 7? Is that something you want to establish? That is antiquated 1990s NFL thinking, all right? So in today's NFL, the great offensive minds, the Doug Petersons, the Sean McVays, those types of coaches, they establish the pass and then mix in the run afterwards. They don't run the ball on 1st down, 2nd down, thinking a Mike Zimmer old school philosophy where we will win with our defense and our run game on the road in the cold. Yeah, that's how we're going to win. Playing right into the other team's hands that doesn't want a high scoring shootout. It is ridiculous. I am so sick and tired of that. I will say that on on sports radio this week,
yep,
everybody was saying, hey, who the Bears beat? They haven't beat anybody. Well, let me tell you, when on Lions Sports Talk Radio this week going to that Thanksgiving Day game against the Bears They go, who have the Bears beat? They can say the same damn thing. They haven't beat anybody because the Vikings are a nobody. They are an 8-8, 9-7, just has been after run team, maybe wild card. They're a nobody. This is not a signature win for the Bears. This is a nothing win. They still have beat nobody. This team will be lucky to squeak into the playoffs. They're fodder for somebody in the first round. Last year was the anomaly. The problem that we have as Vikings fans is that we're still looking at them like they're an elite 13-3 team when they are obviously not. This year has proved it. It's okay to lose to the Saints. It's okay to lose the Rams, but to lose this game in primetime proves you aren't legit. That's it. I'm out.
Thank you, Chancey. 651-646-8255, 877-615-1500 outside the metro if you would like to call in and vent as Chancey has done. And plenty of people have basically, I get the disappointment here. I completely do. But I keep going back to the fact that first half to me was inexcusable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's game planning too.
Yeah.
So if you want to be mad at Kirk, knock yourself out. I get it. If you want to be mad at the offensive line, do the same thing. But Manny, to me, this also comes back to the fact that you had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You had 2 weeks to sit down and say Trubisky's elusive and Khalil Mack is a pain in the ass. And you thought that Riley Reef could block Khalil Mack? Hey, John Duluth, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How you guys?
We are hanging in there. Go ahead, you're on.
All right. So when I see Kirk, I see a guy who's a little bit of a bonehead. I mean, I'm not talking about intelligence here, but, because as far as I can tell, he's a bright guy outside of football. I mean, when it comes to football, though, he's really a low IQ quarterback. He does things in games where you go, wow, what was he thinking? Like, what was going through his mind? For instance, today on 3rd and 1, I think, he had an easy run. He had an easy run for a first down. Literally all he had to do, all the defenders had their back turned to him. All he had to do was run for 2 yards and slide. But he throws into triple coverage for an incomplete pass. Another thing, he went, I think it was the third quarter where the game really changed, where he threw that pick six into triple coverage, which basically sealed the game. Forget the mental errors. I don't even think he's a mechanically sound quarterback. So people want to know why his passes keep getting batted down, like at a historical rate. He does his little padding motion, right before every throw. So this basically gives the opposing D line a cue that he's about to release the ball. So they always know it's coming.
Thanks, John. Manny?
Yeah, I mean, Collar's been saying this every week, right? We're getting the full Kirk Cousins experience. Like this is who he has been as a quarterback, where he will put up some numbers and he'll make some great throws and you're like, wow, that was fantastic. And then he'll turn around maybe on the very next possession and you're like, what the hell is he doing? And that's what we saw tonight with the 2 interceptions. That's what we've seen all season, really, in terms of just on a game-by-game basis with the fumbling and the interceptions that just leave you scratching your head. And then he'll turn around and make some nice throws, and you're like, well, yeah, he's pretty good. Well, yeah, this is why Kirk Cousins is not considered to be one of the top 6 or 7 quarterbacks in the league. That's why he's in the team. That's why he's
just
like the
12th,
the 12th or 13th best quarterback in the league because he's very capable of going out and throwing you into a game, and he's also very capable of going out and throwing you out of a game like he did tonight.
So explain to me this, though. How do you sign him to this huge contract knowing that and not get him the proper protection? That's what I don't understand. They put him
mind-boggling.
I fault him for the boneheaded, stupid plays, but in some ways the management here set him up to fail in that vein, and that's what I don't get.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get it.
Offensive line.
You had to address that.
Yeah.
And you knew it.
You got 6 games left this season, so they got to worry about these last 6 games and try and get to the playoffs or whatever.
Yep.
But off-season priority number 1 needs to be offensive line.
Adam, what's up? What's going on?
So this is a tough one because you want to be so mad at Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
But let's look at this. Comes down to 4 plays: 2 against the Saints, to tonight. And both of our big turnovers against the Saints and against the tonight, we were driving the red zone, we fumble right when we're going in to score. And then 2 pick sixes. When we turned over against them, they were midfield. So we had 4 major turnovers that completely turned the balance of those 2 games. Thielen doesn't fumble. Cook doesn't fumble. Those 2 games are very different. Then we're having a completely different conversation.
Bills game too. Bills game too.
For sure. And then Carlson doesn't miss the kick. Very different story. I mean, Cousins, we knew what we were getting with him, right? He's going to be 70-30. 70 great, 30 what the heck, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you take away those 4 plays, and then the Bills game, which was an anomaly, it's a completely different story. And this is the first year of a 3-year experiment, right? I mean, we all want to win today.
Experiment might be a little bit. I mean, at that type of pay grade, I would prefer not to have to call it an experiment. It was an investment in what you consider to be an upgrade over Keenum.
Right. We're putting our money down, seeing what we're going to get back, right? We have 3 years to get our money back.
Yep.
Right? Not saying we only have 3 years left, considering our franchise, but still, look at the Eagles. I heard like 3 people say the genius of Doug Peterson. What?
But they got a Super Bowl. They got a Super Bowl. You give me a Super Bowl, I got a lot of forgiveness for a lot of people.
But not anymore. But I mean, right. But it's what have you done for me lately? So I'm very disappointed. I think I'm extremely upset with what's going on right now. But still, our season, and maybe this is the Vikings thing, it has always come down to like 3, 4, 5, 6 plays per year.
Yeah, but they're soul crushing, heartbreaking plays. They rip your heart out if you're a Vikings fan. Hello, Ben in Minneapolis.
Hello?
Yep, you're on.
So here's my issue. We picked Mike Hughes, and I don't mind Mike Hughes, but Willie Hernandez was available, and we needed a guard. That was like the biggest issue. And you talked about that when you were talking about Mike Remmers. And sometimes do you ever wonder if Zimmer should be our coach? Because he is a great defensive mind, but I think he's put way too much attention toward the defense, and then it's lacked attention on offense, and then it just kills us in the end.
Thanks, Ben. Thank you. I question Rick Spielman a lot more about not drafting a guard. The lack of attention in the first round and early rounds of the draft consistently in the Spielman regime is, in my mind, not on Mike. It's way more on Rick.
And you know what? Even after you pass on Willie Hernandez and took Mike Hughes, you had a chance in the second round. There were still guards available. You had a chance in the second round to move up and take a guard in the second round, and instead you took a project tackle.
Yeah, no question.
So, I mean, that is where you have to look at the general manager. I'm sorry. He's the one that he's picking these guys. He's drafting them.
Zimmer is always going to the caller's point. He's always going to skew defense, but he is not the final say. Rick could say, you know what? We just signed a really expensive QB who, by the way, is a bleeping statue. So we're going to address guard because we can. Don't forget that run on guards had not really started even after Hughes got drafted. So if you had given up, and I know it would have cost a lot, but if you had given up the requisite amount of picks to get back up high into that second round, Hernandez was yours. And I love the fact that subsequently they tried to float, well, he wasn't really a fit for our offense. Give me a break.
What did they – I just want to know, what were they thinking? When Joe Berger retired, what went through their mind?
I think they see – Did
they just think that
guards,
it was just – we could just put anybody there.
Yes. I think that they see guards like I see running backs and receivers. Because I think you can find those guys, but I think finding really competent, good old linemen takes some higher draft picks, and I think in their minds – they can just find him. Hey, Tim in Washington, you're next.
Hey, guys, how's it going? You know, I think the greatest coach / manager of all time is Lou Brown of the Cleveland Indians.
Okay.
Major League. And you remember that scene when Doran comes up with his contract and is complaining about calisthenics? And Lou proceeds to unzip his
Manny, can I get a legal ID
on the contract.
Yes.
That's about how I'm feeling about Kirk Cousins right now. The Vikings spent the entire offseason fixing problems that didn't need to be fixed, and that includes Kirk Cousins. I've seen enough of a sample size of him now to know what we've got. We have a Matthew Stafford or a Tony Romo. We have a guy that'll make some good plays for us. He'll get us to the playoffs, but he doesn't have those intangibles that are ever going to get us over the top and get us a Super Bowl win. He just doesn't have it. And man, it's a real shame for guys like Xavier Rhodes and Harrison Smith and Everson Griffin, whose primes are being wasted because of decisions like this. And not to mention a huge loyal fan base that got kicked in the groin this offseason when they didn't address what they needed to address. A loyal fan base who has been waiting for 60 years for a Super Bowl, and they have not given us one. It's offensive.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.
Well, on the Lou Brown thing, Kirk Cousins is going to get all $84 million of his dollars, so you can't really urinate on that contract because it's fully guaranteed.
Yes, it is.
Sports Talk sounds better on the home of Sports Talk. 15.
Yes, it is. All right.
Yes, it does.
Do we need to go to break, or are we good, Jonathan? Oh, okay.
We're good.
Why don't you give us what you need to, Manny, before we move on to the next call?
Yeah, Vikings Vent Line. It's brought to you by Lucky's 13 Pubs. 5 Twin Cities locations. You can find them online at luckys13pubs.com.
That type of night. Let's go to let's head out to Minneapolis and our guy Bill. Hey, Bill, what's up?
Yeah, this is Bill in Minneapolis.
Yes.
I knew the game was probably over when on fourth down we had a running back standing back there by himself, having to go 4 yards to get to the line where the quarterback could lean forward and get a couple inches. So Randy was really on right there. The other two things, it wasn't exactly D-Day we were planning for. The guy had 2 weeks to look at the film,
correct,
the tendencies and all that, right?
Yes.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And he couldn't do it. And the third, it is unacceptable for Smith and Barr to take those penalties. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good call.
Yeah, I mean,
the 2 weeks thing does bug me, and I do think that we need to turn a corner here, and this has been brought up on Mackie and Judd previously, so it's not a first time, but I do think that we need to start to at least look at the play calling. I think we need to, because listen, I'll go back to what I've been saying now for quite a while, which is Pat Shurmur had a phenomenal 2017. His play calling we have seen a lot of bad OCs here. And that guy, red zone, all over the field, was fantastic.
Yeah.
And it became very easy to look at his game plans and be like, of course, it makes perfect sense, and take it for granted. But there were some things again tonight where you say to yourself, where is that screen pass? Where is that? Because you already, in having a weak line, you are now more and more basically banking on the fact that Cousins, Diggs, and Thielen are going to do everything. And if you're playing a bad team, it's doable. It can be done. But when you're playing a defense like this, you can't just forfeit part of your scheme. You've got to have a scheme. And I have no clue what that scheme was.
Yeah.
For way too long.
You're listening to the Vikings Vent Line, by the way. Manny Hill and Judd Zulgad on 1500 ESPN, KSTP, St. Paul, Minneapolis. You know, Judd, it feels like it felt like Pat Shurmur last year when he was called plays in a way to try and attack the weakness of the opponent's defense. Where this year with Flip, it kind of feels like we've got our game plan and we've got our plays that we're going to call and we've got our system and we're going to call these plays. It didn't really and I could be completely wrong on this, but it just felt like Pat Shurmur just knew what plays to call at the right times. You know what I mean? Like,
you might be right.
Third and 4,
he was incredible.
He just knew what play to call on 3rd and 4.
Yes.
Exactly what play to call on 3rd and 4. And this year just kind of feels like and they got offensive line issues, and we know that, but it just kind of feels like 3rd and 4, we're just going to call a play. We just got to call a pass play, not necessarily focusing on calling the right pass play to get that first down.
Randy in Cottage Grove, how are you? I hope you're okay after that debacle.
Oh, I'm great, guys. I'm upbeat. I'm clear-headed. I'm in a good spot about all this. I actually take a lot of positives from this game. I think the way I look at it is a lot of people are wanting to jump ship, as they say, and I'm not ready to do that at all. In fact, I'm making a little list here of everybody I see on Twitter being negative. I got you. I'm gonna come back at you and do a callback and a little reply when a few weeks from now we rattle off a few W's and are gonna face the Bears again. And this time we're gonna take firm control over the division. I think we're a quality squad that just kind of went out tonight and had a little bit of the wind knocked out of our sails early and just couldn't recover late. But I'll tell you what, I saw a lot of things I really liked tonight.
So you're not upset at all. You're not upset by the fact that they went to Chicago and Chicago tried for the second half to give them that game back and they couldn't take it.
Oh, well, the way I like to look at it, Judd, is I focus on the things that I can control. Okay. And the one thing that I can't control is quality players on the opposing team. And Cabril Mack, as his name is just a stud. He's a whirlwind, and he put his hands up in Kirk's face, and that's okay. That's going to happen from time to time. The reality is, I have been forced by some close friends of mine to have a positive outlook on a lot of different things this weekend, and it was a challenge from them. And this is me making good on that challenge. It was a Randy. They said, Randy, you got to not be a negative guy. And I said, okay, here we go. I'm going to make a good effort. And that's what I'm doing right now, guys. And I'm staying positive. And of course, everyone who told me that, they're listening. And I say, guys, listen to me. Listen to how positive I am. Listen to how good the squad's looking. And I had a cocktail.
Needle.
That's maybe clouding my vision. But we'll get back to our normal winning ways.
Is this really you?
So I say, what's that?
I said, is this you? I mean, this is not you. You're sober. You're positive. You are not upset at all. You're not slamming the phone down. This doesn't even sound like you.
This is a new. I don't want to say that it was. I gotta be careful.
Mandated.
I don't want to say it was ordered by a judge, but I do have to take a little bit of time in my own home for a while. It's just we're leave it at that, and I get to live in my house. It's a nice place to live, and there is someone who's going to be staying here with me who also likes the Vikes, and that Officer Jim was there tonight. He stays here now for a while, but we're okay. We're going to be okay here, and pretty soon we'll get through this, and the Vikings will have a great season. So I say skol, and I say let's just keep it positive and have a good positive outlook on everything. So great win, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Randy. Well, first of all, they didn't win.
Cabril Mack was pretty dominant tonight. Cabril Mack.
That is definitely sounded like a guy who got busted doing something wrong. JR, what's up?
Man, can we just go and smack Gruden for trading Mac to the NFC North? Can we just do that?
Can we trade it? I didn't get that last part.
Trade Khalil Mack to the NFC North?
But he's in the NFC North.
Yeah, he's already in
Junior
the division.
held on quite a while to say that, but he already has been traded. That was the unfortunate thing, is that John Gruden, in screwing up that franchise, gifted Khalil Mack to the National Football Conference's Northern Division. Hey, Stoneman.
Hey guys, you got me?
We got you loud and clear. You sound good. Turn the radio down and go ahead.
Greetings again from Massillon, Ohio.
Good to hear from you.
Couple things, guys. I don't want to beat up the O-line. We know the O-line was the weak part of the team coming the season. We know Kirk Cousins is going to make one or two bonehead plays. He does it every game. I guess the two things I'm most disappointed in is the first half of the game. You guys talked about a little bit that game plan. We look like crap the first half.
Correct.
The other thing, the 3 personal fouls by the defense absolutely killed us. They all led to scores. And when it comes down to it, that's really the difference in the game. And down the road, I'm trying to look to the future here because I think we're gonna get a wild card. I'd like to hear from you guys. What we're going to do to make Dalvin Cook? He's got to be the third option for us after Diggs and Thielen. And it doesn't have to be running the ball all the time. We got to give him the ball in space and let him make plays. And, guys, I've been a Vikings fan for over 30 years. I want you guys to convince me as a wild card how we're going to win a game on the road because it's only happened 3 times in franchise history.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Thanks for taking my call,
See
man.
you later. Bye. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know what?
I can't do that for you. Sorry.
I mean, it's a good thing, right? The Vikings are lucky that the Atlanta Falcons have kind of fallen flat on their faces the last couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, they're
because
they're 4-6 now, right?
Yeah, when you and that the Eagles are, I mean, that win in Philadelphia doesn't look so good, but in some ways it's kind of nice that it doesn't look so good because the Eagles are just not very good anymore right now. So the Vikings are still sitting okay in a decent position to make a run for the playoffs, but you got Green Bay coming in, and we know the Packers are kind of a mess, but they still got number 12. And then you got to go face another number 12, arguably the greatest number 12 of all time, a week after that. And then you got to go see Russell Wilson in Seattle after that.
And so I can't at this point in time even begin to give you the formula for a playoff win on the road in a wild card game when as you just started, you go through the remaining schedule and the fact that the next 3 games now in this 4-game stretch are incredibly difficult. And if you beat the Packers, as you said, you're faced with Tom Brady and the Patriots, and then a primetime game in Seattle, which is an improving franchise against Wilson, who's an outstanding quarterback. So I can't even begin to go near the question of what's the recipe to win a road playoff game when at this point in time, you're just going to have to work your butt off to get in the playoffs.
And you saw tonight how much of a pain in the rear end Mitch Trubisky was with his escapability when you were able to get pressure on him.
And that's Mitch Trubisky.
And guess what you're going to see in a couple of weeks when you take on Russell Wilson? You're going to see the exact same thing,
but better.
Yes, a guy who's been doing it a lot longer. And you know what? You had Miami after that. Miami's not championship team, but you can't. There are no gimmies left. Yeah. Not even that game at Detroit.
Hey, Don in Ohio. What's up, buddy?
Hey, guys. First of all, I think Randy was having some special brownies tonight, so kudos to him so he's not feeling too upset.
That one is okay. Thank you.
Yes. So, Judd, we've agreed mostly on this season about the Vikings. What the most frustrating part about it is they played 10 games so far this year, and they've not played a single game where they've had a complete game on both sides of the ball. Zimmer's always talks about how he wins, how they usually like to win games is they're always physical up front on both sides of the ball. They haven't been like that at all. And it's just this year seems so much different from last year because last year they had a chip on their shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
They had a confidence, they had, a swag. There's nothing like that this year. You can just tell they just don't have that. How is it that the Saints, who took a horrible loss in the playoffs, but come back this year and have so much more swag? How is that possible when the Vikings should have been doing the same thing? They actually should have, and this offensive line is no better than last year, no worse than last year, because last year was pretty bad too. But you're right. Shermer found a way to hide the weaknesses a lot better than, and losing Sperano to death is a huge loss. I think that's a big loss we haven't talked about too, but
sure.
The buck stops with Mike Zimmer, and he just I don't know. It just seems like he's got this blase attitude this year when it comes to losses. And when anybody questions him on it, well, how dare you question me on it? Well, yeah, we do question you because you're our head coach,
Yeah.
and you're supposed to get this team up. Not once, 10 games this year, 10 games, and not once have we seen a complete game from these guys. And you get blown out at home by Buffalo. You lay an egg against the Rams. You lay an egg against the Bears. It's always a handful of plays every single game. Every single game is a handful of plays. It costs a difference. You miss a touchdown pass to Diggs, the fumble, the bad penalties on defense by the players, the drop pick six by Rhodes. It's just those little things. And it's not just today. It's every game. It's every single game. And yeah, they're probably going to make the playoffs as a 6 seed. But before the game started, I thought, well, they could probably make a run because they can, they've shown that they can stop New Orleans on on offense. They can run with the Rams because their defense isn't good. Yeah, but you know what though? I can only say that if the team were to show that they could play a complete game, and they haven't this year.
Yes.
I doubt they'll show that they. I mean, unless they have a late run, because I said they had to go 3-1 to win the division. That likes 4 games. Well, that's not happening. I think we'll be lucky to go 2-2. We're gonna have to go 2-2 just to make the playoffs. So until this team shows that they can actually produce a complete game, that they're going to go around. They'll get easily defeated. And my question at this point is, how much more leeway does Zimmer and Steelman have? I mean, and I know it might be blasphemy for some people, but it isn't. You have assembled a wealth of players, a good young core. How is it possible this coach does not have this team running on all cylinders like the Saints do, like the Rams, the Chiefs? There is no excuse for this at all. None. And you know what? If you have an issue with Cousins being, the $32 million or whatever, $28 million man per year, whatever it is, hey, you know what? You paid him to make money to make the big plays for tonight. And he came up the pick six, the constant fumbles, the missed open wide receivers. He has never shown in the past that he can take a team to the next level. And I'll be darned, I find it hard to believe that he'll be able to take this team to the next level either.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the call.
I will tell you why the Rams and the Saints and the Chiefs seem to be clicking on all cylinders more than the Vikings are. One, because all 3 of those teams have better quarterbacks than Kirk Cousins. And they all have better offensive lines than what Kirk Cousins has in front of him right now.
Yeah, and Zimmer is in a tough spot too in this sense. In 2016, he gave you what Don was talking about by melting down, and the players ignored him after that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a dicey one. This is a tough one, but it comes back to me. If I'm going to dump on coaching for tonight right now, it's going to be, I'm really disappointed by what you thought would work in Chicago after having 2 weeks to prepare for a Bears team that I contend is an ascending, very good team. But they're certainly not great. They're beatable.
This is not you plenty of opportunities to win this game.
The Rams or Saints games, I flat out believe that those teams are superior teams
They're
right
just
now.
Better.
They're better.
Yeah.
The Bears are not. And you came out with a plan that I don't get. And so coaching wise, I fall on the side of questioning that. And quarterback wise, I know that Cousins has his challenges, but as you've talked about, that pick six is atrocious. It can't happen. It's the type of mistake that can't happen. And
just can't throw that ball.
And keep in mind too, the Bears, I'll keep coming back to this. The Bears were trying to give you that game back tonight. They desperately wanted you to leave there with a really weird win, but you could have. And time again, they gave you those opportunities, and you basically said, no thanks. TCL Broadcast Studio, Viking Vent Line will continue after this. But first, Manny Hill, you have a word about our friends at Lucky 13.
Yes, Lucky's 13 Pubs. They are sponsoring Vikings Vent Line for us this year. And I'll tell you what, they've got you covered for the best game day experience. They have tons of TVs, those legendary, fantastic appetizers, those amazing fresh half-pound burgers, and those handcrafted sandwiches too. They've got a wide variety of several pub favorites. The drink menu is fantastic too. They've got a huge selection of tap beer, those handcrafted cocktails. They've got the best Bloody Marys in town. You can try the Bacon Bloody, the Jalapeno Bloody, the Mother Mary, or you know what? If you want to try them all, you can grab a flight and sample each one of them. Plus, Lucky's, they celebrate Sunday Fun Day. They have happy hour all day long on Sunday, every Sunday. And they have locations, 5 Twin Cities locations, in fact: Bloomington, Burnsville, Mendota, Plymouth, and Roseville. And you know what? If you can't make it out to Lucky's, but if you're having people over for the game, you can call ahead and order some of those fantastic apps. They'll be ready for you to pick them up when you get there. Find them online.